Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 47 of Jordan and Drew, the Sports Crew, just a few shy of the big ol' 50, and we begin season 4.5 of trivia here today. Let's do it. I'm Jordon Lawrenz, joined alongside the one and only Drew Skyberg, and Drew went to a Bucks game Friday. He went to a Bucks game last night. We're recording Sunday morning. Went to a Bucks game Sunday night as well. Marquette was on Sunday. I mean, my goodness, this was a busy weekend.
It really was, yeah. And I was in the Marquette game last week too.
Yes.
It's been a busy sports weekends down in Milwaukee, and wow, it was quite the Bucks game. Bucks after dark, we call it 9 p.m. tip, and it was at Milwaukee. They started at 9. It was on ESPN, so that's how it worked. You know, TV, they rule it. ESPN wanted it a late game because the first game was out East Coast, so that was wild. Minnesota wild.
And yes, we will indeed have some hockey talk as well as we get into the episode. And don't forget, guys, last week we only a 3-episode week. I mean, we're so sorry we couldn't do 4 or 5 episodes like we have been, but we had the College Athlete Spotlight, then we had Journey to a Million once again, and this upcoming. So my question here, Journey to a Million coming up this Friday, is this going to be the Super Bowl preview, or is this going to be more of a recap of the last games, and then the next week will be a Super Bowl preview?
We're talking Pro Bowl on Friday because
God,
listen to this, Jordan. Usually, or there's a chance Sleeper might be doing some Pro Bowl Lions, and we're gonna be on top of it, and we're gonna talk about those. And you know that's gonna be a lot of fun because it's wild. You don't know what's gonna happen. Anyone could go off, and it's just certainly we'll have to see what they're gonna do for that. But I know places like still on the daily fantasy side, you know, FanDuel, DraftKings, they always do Pro Bowl lineups you can make. So that's going to be an interesting one. But yeah, next Friday then will be the Super Bowl preview, Jordan, and
a week away.
We might have you on for that, I believe.
Probably. I don't see why not. It'll be a biggest episode of Journey to a Million yet as we preview the big one, the Super Bowl. Fingers crossed for a Rams and Bengals Super Bowl. That's what I want. What do you want?
I would like Rams and Bengals, or Rams and Chiefs would still be okay.
Anyone
no
but
49ers.
The Niners.
Yeah.
Yes, anyone but the. And it's not just because they beat the Packers. They're such a boring team. I mean, besides Deebo Samuel, I don't enjoy anyone. Yeah, I don't enjoy anyone on that team.
Nick Bosa, you know, their defense is fun to watch, but still, you know, I'm totally in agreement with you. Just watching Jimmy G throw a football is just disgusting, considering he's like guys like Kittle and Samuel.
His over-under was 1.5 touchdowns in this Rams game. And I was like, under all day. There's no way.
Hey, passing yards 230. If we want to stay in the Journey to Millions, at 230.5. That might be a nice under too.
It could be as well. So that's all we got there. That was all Journey to a Million talk. We're just incorporating it a little here, but it's time to move on. Don't forget the podcast. We are on everything, guys. Twitter, JD Sports Pod, YouTube, Jordan Drew the Sports Crew, Facebook, Jordan Drew the Sports Crew, Instagram, Jordan Drew _Sports Crew. We're on all the big ones there, and we have hoodies. We have white hoodies. So let's explain the situation here so people don't get confused. With Allied shirts, when we originally got the white hoodies, we could tell right out of the gate they were pretty faded, right? You know, that red Jordan and Drew the Sports Crew, the lettering was the football, baseball, basketball, those are fine. But the lettering, especially on the bottom half, you know, where it said Sports Crew, is pretty faded. And we didn't really say a whole lot at first because I was talking to them about the lettering on the other ones, and they just weren't budging. So I'm like, okay. And then we just gave it some time, and then Drew gave him a call, and he's like, hey, this and that, blah, 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 blah. Then they emailed me. I was like, okay, this is interesting. So I sent him a picture. I was talking to them about it, telling them, you know, we washed them a few times and they're starting to really fade. All right. And then they were like, I got the nicest guy ever on email for Allied shirts. Like, could not have been any nicer. And they sent us brand new white hoodies. We got ourselves a new higher resolution logo. We're not going to be using it for anything other than the merchandise. And we got that. And man, all the difference in the world. We used it. They sent us a proof this time, which was very much appreciated since they didn't the first time. And holy cow, these white hoodies are a complete 180. This is like the biggest difference I have ever seen in my entire life. These things are beautiful. And now we are selling the other hoodies at a discounted price, $15. We already sold a few of them. Limited quantities remain. If you want one, please hit us up. And Drew, if you have anything to say about the hoodies, go for it here.
Yeah. Believe we have like 7 larges left. So I mean, mainly
large. Yeah, we had the most large out of anything.
So check if you wear a large, maybe if you wear a medium or small, buy the large. They're great hoodies. I highly recommend them. And we got to shout out Isaac Ferguson. He was the one actually I was in contact with him. He did a great job making that higher resolution logo. And then Jordan really used some great words to really convince them, to make those hoodies. So appreciate that. And that first phone call I did with them went very well to get that support quest. So it was really a team effort here. A lot of moving parts here.
It was nice you got to talk to nice people, because the times I called them, I did not have a nice experience. But they made it all right at the end of the day. So we can't thank them enough for that. And I'm looking at the document right now. It looks like we have a medium left also. So it looks like there's one medium and then I think 8 larges is what it looks like right now. Don't quote us on that, but a medium and some larges left. And that's what we got for these new hoodies. So we can't thank you all enough for the support and sticking with us. Let's go to the shout out of the week. It's a fun one because we're talking about the good old athlete of the week. And who is the Manitowoc/Sheboygan High School athlete of the week? Sadly, none of these two won. However, our shout out goes to Jenna Lishka of the Manitowoc Lutheran Lancers and Tim Yeager of Valders. This was the final tally that you sent me with these 18,000 votes?
Yep, it was.
All right. So Jenna Lishka finished second with an astonishing 7,752 votes. That's great. The guy in first place had 9,001. So it was pretty close. And then Tim Yeager, the drop off from second to third is insane. Tim Yeager, 1,629, but still, to get almost 2,000 votes and even be on the list in the first place. Congratulations to the Valders boy. And then Jenna Lishka, phenomenal job finishing second.
Also with Tim, he actually sent this into us. He sent me this and he was like, and I was like, we'll make sure to shout you out here on the podcast. Tim, congrats on the big and on the great success, to get on that list. And that Valders wrestling team is doing well compared to years past. They're a really young team. Last year having no seniors, Jordan, and now
that's kind of a good thing, though.
Yeah, I mean, for the future, look at it now. They've been doing very well. Really dominated by sophomores and juniors this year as well. So, I wanted to mention that. And then also, do we want to do our other shout out? We got 2 shout outs.
Yeah, go for it, please. It ties in.
We got shout out.
Technically 3, I guess.
We had this guy actually already on the podcast, Shane Griepenstrog of the Valders cross country team. He signed his letter of intent. He is going to Minnesota, the Golden Gophers.
Ooh.
Jordan. He will be doing some running there. He's taking his running talents. He's going out to the neighbors of the West.
He's
big. Going to Minnesota. So that's some big stuff there. And hopefully then in the future, college athlete spotlight, certainly a candidate here. We talked the Bucks believer, Clay Taylor, committed to GB. That's another one. He's both those guys, 2 of the top runners and just their work ethic, both those guys, it is unbelievable, and they deserve it all. So I'm really happy for those 2 guys.
You could almost do like a pre-college athlete spotlight where you bring them on and talk about like their expectations for college, how high school went. Just a thought.
Could certainly do that. We had both those guys on for that cross country special we did after Valders dominated the state meet. Because with this night, when he signed that letter of intent, 2 banners were unveiled at Valders High School. So that was the other thing we have to talk about. 2 banners going up in the rafters, and then they almost ended up beating Kiel too. It was a girls basketball game, so that would have been big. It was 53-49 loss, but that's a big shout. So it's kind of like all Valders there.
That's a lot of Valders.
But we have to mention one more thing.
Yes.
Griepentrog, he is studying nutritional science at Minnesota, and that his goal, long-term goal, sports dietitian. So that's certainly something. Maybe he's working with in the big leagues.
As we like to say.
Like the anchor ad. Yeah.
Yes.
So
that's good stuff, though. Hopefully it all works out. Obviously, congratulations to all those individuals who are a part of it. And we'll have ourselves a new anchor ad coming soon. Episode 50. Like we said, you're going to be seeing some changes. It's not going to be anything too big. You're going to be seeing some changes, good changes, absolutely, for the podcast. Let's move on to the stats of the week. Boy, oh boy, are there a lot of them. And it all starts with hockey, the Hershey Bears. So this is an AHL team. Teddy bear toss, there's nothing better. I went to the Gamblers teddy bear toss recently, and they were like up 1-0 right out of the gate. They scored in the first few minutes. Then they lost like 6-1. But the Hershey Bears of the AHL set the world record with 341 stuffed animals tossed onto the ice. That is insane. I've never heard anything like that. NCAA single game scoring record was set. It was last week. Kansas State women's basketball, Ioka Lee, 61 points. That is a massive game. Drew, is that all time, like between men's and women's, do you believe?
I think if it's at all time, I think that would be it then.
NCAA single game scoring record. So like that's even bigger.
There's actually a guy, who put up like 100, but that was like in D something.
Oh, true.
I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
On like 60, 70 shots. So
yeah, exactly.
Maybe Division 1 or maybe just girls. I don't know.
Could be either one. I don't really know. Women's, but it's yeah, at the end of the day, Ioka Lee, 61 points. Insane, no matter which way you put it. SportsCenter fact, this was the first time in 12 years that a conference title game did not feature Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. Saturday, Tom Brady took the world by storm. Drew, is this guy retired or is he not?
Well, reports are saying now that he hasn't made his mind up yet. So right now he's not. He is not retired. Adam Schefter, we love the guy, but he might have blew this one again.
Yeah. Maybe broke the news a little too early. I don't really know what happened. And if Tom Brady isn't indeed retired, like how did this news even come out? Where did it possibly come from that he is retired? But I don't know. He went and said that maybe he's not retired just yet. We're going to have to figure things out. Gabe Davis, his insane game. Bills and Chiefs, this man became the first player in NFL history to catch 4 touchdowns in a playoff game despite a loss. So Gabe Davis, my goodness, kudos to him. And more from this game. Mahomes and Allen both had over 300 passing yards, more than 3 touchdowns, more than 50 rushing yards, and no interceptions. This was the first time this is done in the NFL history by opposing quarterbacks. This game was just something else. And I know it happened a week ago today as we're recording, but we fell behind with football. You said it in one of the college athlete spotlights that our football coverage, it's not that it's lacking, but with us recording on Sundays and games happening, we can't always cover all these things, especially the late Sunday games. What are we going to do? Record at midnight after the games? I mean, there's not much we can do.
Yeah, it doesn't really fit in kind of the episode layout for these at least, but come Wednesday, Jordan.
Yes.
We got a Packers season recap. So all of our football talk probably condensed into around an hour episode, maybe 45, something like that, where we'll talk start to finish how this Packers season went and then plans for the future and all that good stuff in that episode. So check that out.
Few coaching changes already happening, so we'll be talking about them. Auburn and NCAA men's basketball took AP number 1 for the first time in franchise history, school history, I guess. First time in school history, big for them. Let's talk Aaron Rodgers last. We'll mention one more thing here. Back to the NHL. Keith Yandel of the Philadelphia Flyers set the league record, skating in 965 consecutive regular season games. Man, is that an accomplishment. Now Aaron Rodgers seasons with 35 or more passing touchdowns and 5 or fewer interceptions. Aaron Rodgers has 3 of those. All other quarterbacks have 1. But now we go down the road a little bit. I saw this in one of the Facebook groups I'm in for the Packers. Not My GOAT, it is titled. Since winning the Super Bowl, Aaron Rodgers is 7-9 in the playoffs. That is not too good. Aaron Rodgers is 1-8 when trailing at halftime in the playoffs. That is not too good. Aaron Rodgers is 1-4 in NFC Championship games. That is not good. And Aaron Rodgers is 0-42 when trailing a team with a winning record by more than a point in the fourth quarter. That's not good either. We'll talk Aaron. You know what? Let's get it. We're going to do it right here. Our long bet is happening right here, right now. And the question is, will Aaron Rodgers remain a Green Bay Packer?
You want me to start?
If you would like to start, you can.
I just want to first comment on the stats you brought up. if you look at his defense, they are average.
Oh yeah,
giving up 30 plus a game. So I think I don't know. I don't like those stats.
Stats can always be swung any way you want them to, and that's obviously one trying to tell people that Aaron Rodgers isn't great.
But I'll go yes. Despite everything going on right now, I can't see him moving yet. I know I call it the last dance, but Tom Brady said he might play till 45, or he's going to play till 45. So, and right now, if this retirement stuff's true, that's not the case either. So all I'm saying is things can change. So I think the way Matt LaFleur talked is like, he's confident. It seemed he was pretty confident. Of course he has to be confident, but right. I think we'll see Rodgers back in Green Bay. I don't know for how long. Like I think he retires as a Green Bay Packer. That might be bold, but I cannot see him doing what Tom Brady did. I don't see it. I don't know why.
That's where it's tough, because we're obviously going to talk about this on Wednesday. However, I think Adams is going to walk. He has to, right? Asking $30 million a year. How do you have any spot to keep this guy? And I think if Rodgers doesn't have Adams, I don't think he stays a Packer. And we just lost our offensive coordinator. We now have a new offensive coordinator who is the O-line
coach. But that guy was a likable guy.
Yes, he was. Absolutely.
Congrats to, I believe, Luke Getsy too. Bears got a good. Wow, what a hire by the Bears. I mean, we talked on Journey to Million. The head coaching hiring was certainly questionable. I'm not really a fan of who they got, Colts D coordinator, but hey, this offensive coordinator hiring was big for the Bears.
And now it's just the question of if Aaron Rodgers stays or not. I'm going to say no. I am a firm believer. I want him to stay, obviously. 100% want him to stay, but he made the comment he doesn't want to stay for a rebuild. This team, we're going to talk about all the upcoming free agents on the Packers. They have so many of them. It's going to be so intriguing to see how they put the pieces together, who they keep, who they don't keep. The defense could lose a few guys. The offense could lose a few guys. Like I said, I still think Adams is going to walk. And if Rodgers follows his offensive coordinator for some reason and goes to the Broncos, they've got some receiving threats. They've got themselves a great stud of a running back with Javonte. And I don't know. I think he walks, and I think he does a Tom Brady. I think he goes and plays a season or two. I don't know. I don't think he's staying as a Green Bay Packer. I don't know. Possibly Broncos, maybe Steelers with Big Ben gone. I don't know. But I just don't. If Adams goes, I think Rodgers goes. I can't see him staying.
I don't see the Denver team. Like I don't see the
the appeal.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I guess the appeal is the right word there.
I guess it's the same. It's the same thing with Tom Brady though. Like wherever he goes, he's making the team.
But look at Tampa. He went to the team with one of the best defenses in the NFL, and he went where he had 6'5" Mike Evans. Then he brought over 6'7" Gronk, and then he
brings back Gronk.
And then he had Godwin already there, and then one of the best offensive line, just the team around him was so much better than a Denver team right now. So my whole point is, if you're going to go somewhere, it better be somewhere better than the Green Bay Packers. So, and I don't know where that is. So I don't think so.
And I was listening to on the Pat McAfee show, a good hour-long talk they had on Aaron Rodgers Tuesday, the final one of the year. And it was seeming most likely that he's not going to retire. He said he's going to make a decision relatively soon. He'd say he probably, right? Yeah, he said he was going to come fly in, do it in studio in Indianapolis with him. So that'll be fun. Pat McAfee show is so great. But let's move on. On this day, the date today, the final day of January 31st, 2022. On this day, 1923, Montreal Canadiens beat the Hamilton Tigers 5-4 in Montreal, the first penalty-free game in NHL history. So that's big time. I mean, that game must have flew by with no penalties. Could be officiating, not calling anything, but I don't know. Could be a lot of reasons, but that's good for them. Let's move. We got a few All-Star games coming up here on this day in 1982, the 32nd NBA All-Star game. And New Jersey played at the Brendan Byron Arena. The East beat the West 120-118. Close game. Larry Bird was the MVP of that one. 2 years later, on this day, 1984, the 36th NHL All-Star game played at the same arena as the NBA one. It sees the Wales Conference beat the Campbell Conference 7-6. So that was on this day, 1984. I will be doing an NHL mid-season recap coming up. That's a few weeks away. We'll be talking all Wild, We'll be talking the NHL as a whole. Let's go 4 years later on this day in 1988. Super Bowl 22 in San Diego. The Redskins, the Washington football team, beat the aforementioned Denver Broncos 42-10. Wasn't even close. Doug Williams, the MVP of that game on this day in 1993. Super Bowl 27. Played at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. That's a great, great venue. The Cowboys beat the Bills 52-17. Back-to-back blowout Super Bowls on this day. Troy Aikman, the MVP of that game. And let's go one further. On this day in 1999, one more Super Bowl. Super Bowl 33 in Miami. The Broncos beat the Falcons 34-19, a little closer at least. John Elway, the MVP of that game. And then on this day in 2015, a little recent, the Atlanta Hawks set a new NBA monthly win record as they moved to 17-0 in January. You have a comment on any of those things, some blowouts of the Super Bowls and then the Hawks January record, or are we moving on?
Well, Jordan, do you know who the coach of that Hawks team was?
No.
The Mike Budenholzer. So
was it really?
He had one of the great teams. That was, I believe, the year he got coach of the year. So
mate, that would make sense. Certainly would go hand in hand. So good for him. Let's do it. Weekly sports talk is here. We're going to start with hockey talk. We've got 3 things to discuss. Let's start with Evander Kane. So, have you heard of this man before? Evander Kane, one of the best players in the league.
I actually have.
Okay, so he was a lot of controversy with this guy. He was suspended for the first 21 games of the year. Not good. It was for a violation and lack of compliance with the NHL and NHL Players Association COVID-19 protocols. On November 28th, following the completion of the suspension, the Sharks, San Jose Sharks is most likely what he was known for, they put him on the waivers and reassigned him to the AHL. This man was drafted in the 4th selection of the 2009 draft. He's never played in the AHL before, but he was put on the San Jose Barucada. And then January 8th happens, and this man gets released. They put him on unconditional waivers for the purpose of terminating his contract due to violation of AHL COVID-19 protocols. So he was still tampering with stuff down at the AHL, supposedly. But just days ago, January 27th, the Edmonton Oilers have signed Evander Kane to a 1-year deal. The Oilers, if we look to the standings, this man is going to a team that finds himself 22, 16, and 2. They're in 6th place in the Pacific Division. They're struggling right now, but it's still anyone's game because the Vegas Golden Knights are 26, 16, and 3 in that Pacific Division. So they could still fight their way back up. They have won 4 straight, are the Oilers. Seattle Kraken, Drew, 14, 25, and 4. They're not the worst team in the league, though. They're not the worst team. You want to know the worst team? The Montreal Canadiens, 8, 28, and 7. They are a part of the Atlantic Division, which is spearheaded by the Florida Panthers. This one is insane. They're 31, 9, and 5. Tampa Bay back-to-back Stanley Cup. They're second at 29, 10, and 6. Then we'll go to the Carolina Hurricanes, 39 and 2. They're first there. Then it's Pittsburgh and New York, the Rangers right behind them. And in the Wilds division, as we call it, the Wild are 26, 10, and 3. They're sitting at 4th right now, very close with the St. Louis Blues and the Nashville Predators. Colorado, as you would expect, they're 31, 8, and 3. They have won 9 straight games. The Avalanche are finally firing on all cylinders. Then the second worst team is the team I'll be seeing in March, the Arizona Coyotes, 10, 29, and 4. And they lead us right into our next topic, the Arizona Coyotes. So, and there's been a lot of discussion about them losing their lease after this year, maybe not getting renewed. They have now proposed a $1.7 billion or $1.7 billion arena. There we go. An entertainment district. So same thing as we're seeing. This is like the new theme, right? You got the Bucks with the Pfizer Forum. There's the whole entertainment district. This is becoming a big theme, and it would be built at the intersection of Priest Drive and Rio Salado Parkway on the south banks of Salt River. If the deal gets approved, obviously it's going to take a few years before they can play there. So they would play at Arizona State University, a 5,000-seat arena. And their GM was talking about it. He said, look, 5,000 fans. It's crazy to talk about an NHL game with that few fans, but if you were in there and the place is packed, I've done a virtual tour of that arena. It's a really cool space, and it would be a lot of fun. It's not that simple, obviously. There's still a lot more that could go into it, but can you imagine an NHL team playing in front of just 5,000 fans? The fewest right now is 15,000, and that's the smallest arena.
Yeah, it certainly would be an interesting. We saw even then we see the Vikings play at a college field. They play at the Golden Gopher Field.
Yeah, they did something like that, but that's totally different because that's football, college football.
It's a decent amount, a sizable amount as well. So I don't know. I think the simple solution here is just come to a city like Milwaukee, come to the Forum, come to Fiserv. They proved they could host hockey, right?
They did, but can they do it full time?
Why not? You got to.
I don't know.
Marquette's schedule. You got to play, and Marquette might have to play a couple of games at the Al McGuire Center, in at campus. We see Villanova do that because
that'd be fine.
Villanova, the 76ers, and the Flyers, who all play at the Wells Fargo Center.
So we were talking about that. Yeah, it's done before. It's not anything
they
new.
Can do that. So I think, why not? Why not us?
I'm sure there's a lot of factors that go into it that we don't know about. Money would be the big one, obviously.
Yeah, who would buy? I get that.
Yeah.
I'm just all I'm saying is certainly other cities, would want a hockey team, and I think Milwaukee, having the Admirals kind of hurts their case because they already have a hockey team right there, but would hurt the Admirals.
And then the Admirals are associated with the Nashville Predators, which would get a little confusing. But you know what? Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're just going to cross our fingers and wait. We're going to hope and pray. Let's talk high school basketball. The Ships have won 2 of the last 3. They just lost to De Pere, best team in the state. So I don't really care about that loss at all. I'll be announcing them Tuesday night. So tomorrow night, you will hear me on the air, WOMT there at Bayport. This is the revenge game. If you remember last time, this was a tie game. They had the ball with a minute left, called the timeout with 20 seconds. Gage Grinnell charges in, gets fouled with 8 seconds left, misses both free throws. Bayport goes down, nearly makes a shot at the buzzer. They don't. Game goes to overtime, and Bayport ends up winning. Ships led like 19-6 early in this game. Should have beat Bayport without a doubt, and that started a downward spiral for this team. But they're back up. They're winning a few games. They had a streak where they lost 3 in a row, including that Pulaski loss, but they rebounded well. That's what we got to say for the Ships right now. We're looking forward to this Bayport game tomorrow night. And now a big announcement. Each and every week, I will be hosting a 5, 10, 15-minute, who knows how long it'll be. It'll stay short. An EWC boys and girls basketball breakdown. It'll be a review of the past week. It'll be a preview of the week ahead. This happening each and every Tuesday morning. It'll be at about 10 a.m. It won't be our normal 8 a.m. And that's because if there's games on Monday, we got to wait for scores and hopefully stats to get in. So it'll be recorded Tuesday right away in the morning. We'll get it up at 10 a.m. each and every Tuesday. It'll talk about more than just basketball when there are other things to discuss. But right now, let's talk a little basketball real quick because finally we are getting back in the swing of things on Friday. Conference games, back into it. New Holstein at Chilton, Roncalli at Falls, Kiel at TR, and Brillion at Valders. Friday, February 4th are the next slate of conference games. But was there anything for the past week that you wanted to talk about, or just touch on these games coming up?
Well, yeah, the past week, if we look at it, conference is starting to shape more and more how we predicted.
Yes.
We got Brilliant 9-0, Roncalli 8-1, Kiel 7-2, and the Valders a game back at 6-3. I think Valders, ends up with an identical record to Kiel. I think they split that game, and I think then it just stays from there. But Valders has talk about a tough back-to-back, Jordan. Listen to this. Valders hosts undefeated Brilliant, and then the next day at 3 p.m. they play Sheboygan Lutheran. They play the Crusaders.
That's this game.
14-1 with Coach Nick Verhagen and then Casey Verhagen. Do you know who he is? He is.
Oh yes, I've heard of him.
You got to see the buzzer beater he hit a few days ago. It was incredible. It was a contested fadeaway 3. People are comparing it to the Sam Decker 3 hit at State in 2012.
Really?
This was quite the shot for the college recruit. I believe he actually committed D2 already. So he's averaging 25.7 points. And then also Robbie Michael averaging 15 a game. That's a great Crusader team right there. So that's going to be a tough back. Like, that's as tough as it gets, right? For a back-to-back.
Oh, it has to be, right? You're playing you're playing Friday night and then Saturday afternoon too. It's a 3 o'clock game on Saturday.
31-1 is the combined record between the two schools they're facing. Come on.
And I was looking at Sheboygan Lutheran right now. First game of the year, they put up 101 points. On December 6th, they put up 105. They put up 97 on December 22nd.
But one thing I will have to add is Brilliant and Valders. They hung it. It was first game. It was like tied, or Valders was down by like 4 with like 3 minutes left, and it was like they lost by like 8 only. So they match up well against this Brilliant team. Plus, playing at Valders, that's always a tough place to play. Valders has really taken advantage of that, and it's handled Brilliant mostly the past few years, except last year. They actually lost them both, but before that, they've really handled them well. And I know Robert would not like to admit that, but last 10 years, Valders has really dominated this matchup.
Yes. So. I mean, a lot of teams kind of had with Brilliant as well. We were talking about the Roncalli, that series that Brilliant hasn't won in years, which I was kind of surprised to see, but they haven't been good until recently, and they're good now. So
very good.
Tough schedule for Valders. We'll see what happens. Let's talk college real quick. I'm going to throw a lot of local things at you, right? We'll stay in Milwaukee first, and then I'll talk about Green Bay. The UW-Milwaukee Panthers, what happened? A 77-53 loss to Robert Morris. I was very confused to see that. And then a Youngstown State loss, 86-72 UW-Milwaukee. Losing to Youngstown State, that's okay. But then losing to Robert Morris, that was very, very interesting to see. And then Marquette real quick, right? We're going to talk Milwaukee as a whole. They play a tough Providence team that's actually going to be over by the time we record. And then we'll know how our long bet fared. If they won 2 games or if they won just 1, I would be correct then. But Marquette did indeed beat Seton Hall. They were kind of dominating early. They only ended up winning by 10, but a win is a win. And then they've got Providence here yesterday. So just talking about Milwaukee here, UWM, what happened against Robert Morris and Marquette? Did they pull it off against the Friars?
Okay, starting here with the Panthers. Not a good week, to just basically say that. Defense has been a struggle for Pat Baldwin's team. No PBJ. I was going to say, is it even his team anymore? And it never, it was for a few games. It was, it only lived that
3
long
games
with injuries and such. But yeah, defense has been a problem. Guys like Jordan Lathan have been playing really well. DeAndre Golston is kind of that guy they rely on to score. Hasn't really been there, been there scoring wise, which has been tough. And it's just been, losing Robert Morris at Robert Morris by 20 plus, certainly not a good look. This Robert Morris team is actually one of the worst teams in the country.
Yes.
And they're second last in the Horizon League. And Milwaukee 5-8. In conference, and Youngstown State, they lost them by only 1 at the Panther Arena, Jordan. And that was a game that they should be able to. Let's be honest here. This Panther team, they should be a top 4, top 5 team in the conference here.
You would think.
You would think based on their roster, makeup, and they've lost to UIC. They lost to Robert Morris now. They're not going to lose to Green Bay. They play them February 13th at the Panther Arena. I will be there. So
Green Bay just lost to Robert Morris, too. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But
they did? Yeah, so I don't want to hear it.
Well, Milwaukee's a lot better team, so it actually makes sense why Green Bay's losing to them.
This is true, but I'm still shocked Green Bay beat Detroit Mercy. I
don't know what happened.
That's their one of the year. And Milwaukee beat Oakland without PBJ. And that's Oakland's 9-1 in conference. Their lone conference loss comes to the Panthers. But
okay, listen to this.
Tough place to play at, so.
It is. So that's a big difference. In Green Bay, they hosted Oakland on January 22nd. They lost by 7. They lost by 7 to Oakland, and then they lose by 2 to Robert Morris. I just don't get it. Where's the consistency?
That's the beauty of college basketball. We talk about it. Gauntlet.
I guess it is. But now, talk about Marquette real quick, and then we'll talk about the Green Bay loss.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Marquette.
The Friars, it happened yesterday. We're hoping they pulled out a win, but it's going to be tough. And they got a nice big win earlier in the week.
They beat Providence, by like 30 when they played them the first time. Not the same. That was at the Forum. No. Now, at Providence, long travel, snowstorm. They had to go through. It was a journey to get there. So certainly everything's on Providence's favor. Or it's on their side here. Nate Watson, he didn't do much the first game around, and you would expect him to play big in this game. I'm sure he did, but
gonna have to.
Marquette right now sitting number 22 in the nation. If they win this game, Jordan, I think you put them at 15. I think you move them up 7 spots.
Move them up?
Move them up 7 spots, yeah. They're the hottest team in the country right now.
There were some losses that happened in the top 25. We'll talk about them in a minute, but they, without a doubt, they're the hottest team. And if they get another big win under their belt, I say this team's unstoppable. I mean, who's going to stop them anytime soon? They have this tough gauntlet, and they're beating all of these teams. It's obviously a mental thing as much as it is just staying in these games, but good for Marquette. We love our Golden Eagles.
In Shaka, we trust. Shaka's smart.
There we go.
Big East Coach of the Year.
Could we get a flag that says that, you think?
Yeah. I'll talk to some guys from Marquette to see if we can get in Shaka we trust on a shirt.
There you go. Yeah, that would be nice. That would be a beautiful thing. So Green Bay, like I said, they lost 62-60 to Robert Morris, but Donovan Ivory, one of the best players on the team, is no longer a part of the program. I was very thrown off to see this, and I have a nice article that was published on Yahoo, and Green Bay believed, or Donovan Ivory believed he had found his final home, right? Final home after committing to Green Bay. Instead, his career is over with less than 1 season. Ivory did not make the trip to Ohio for that Youngstown State game. Will Ryan, head coach, said after careful consideration, Donovan Ivory will no longer be a part of our basketball program. We appreciate Donovan's commitment to the team this season, and we wish him the very best in both his future on and off the court. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Ivory did not respond to a text message Thursday night. His father, Nick, did respond to a text, but was not prepared to discuss his son's situation until he spoke to him and got his thoughts on it. So assuming they wanted to interview him for this article, and Ivory didn't respond. Ivory is second on the team in scoring, just under 12 a game, third in rebounding and assists, but he's first in blocks. He's averaging just about 26 minutes a game, including 9 starts. 6'6" Ivory missed time recently with an upper body injury and because of COVID-19 protocols. And he's done though. He spent the first semester of his collegiate career at UMass, and then he transferred to Boise State, where he was a walk-on, and here he was at Green Bay, and now it's over. And I don't really understand why. I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but there was something going on big time. And Donovan Ivory, one of the best players, is no longer part of this team. So it's going to take a lot for this team to move on and rebound, but they're going to have to at the end of the day. They got to pick things up to close out the season. Let's talk college basketball as a whole. We don't do this a whole lot, but the Big 12 SEC Challenge Saturday was a heck of a day for college basketball. Auburn, Oklahoma, a lot of these games were close, and then they kind of ended up being blowouts at the end. Auburn, Oklahoma, close, and then Auburn pulls out a nice win. Auburn's still number 1 in college basketball, 20-1 overall record. Arizona State, another very, very close game. ASU ends up on the losing end. This game is tied at halftime, 32-32. Arizona wins 67-56. This is the big one, back-to-back. Alabama beats Baylor. Alabama was struggling. They showed a graphic. They started like 8-1. Then they were like 5-7 cents or something like that. I mean, it was a bad turnaround for Alabama, but they beat Baylor 87-78, and Kansas goes down to Kentucky. No shame in losing to Kentucky, right? Kansas, these are my boys. I love the Jayhawks. But Ojai Abaji, best player in college basketball, only scores 13 points, coming off a 37-point career high, double overtime over Texas Tech on Tuesday. Not a good look. This team got a lot of rest. Maybe it didn't benefit them. And a hot Kentucky team led by 20 at the half, and then ends up winning 80-62. Sure, we'll talk about those upsets here before we move on. Baylor, defending champs, they go down, and I just don't think Baylor has what it takes. I think maybe they make it to the Sweet 16, not a whole lot further yet. And Kentucky, they have certainly rebounded after last year's disaster, and now Kansas goes down. You're allowed to lose in college basketball. I still have a lot of faith in my Jayhawks, but what do you think right now, college basketball? I mean, we're looking at Arizona, Gonzaga, and Auburn, 1, 2, and 3. And now things are shaking up underneath. Does Houston go all the way to 4, the 7 seed?
It's, we don't know right now because
UCLA could go up too.
This is certainly far away here, but yeah, right now I think the first seeds or the number 1s are Auburn, Gonzaga, Baylor, and Kansas. Still, maybe not Kansas anymore after that loss, but
yeah, I still think they'll be fine. I mean, they're losing to a good Kentucky team, non-con.
Yeah, that's the thing. And then also, with even the loss that Baylor took, I'm not worried about Baylor. I'll be honest. I'm not worried about. They played at Alabama. The Alabama team is tough. They hung in there with Gonzaga too, so yes. I think they beat Gonzaga actually. But
yeah, they did.
Yeah, so I'm not worried really about either of those teams there. This is just the middle of the year. SEC actually wins that, 6-4, and which is shocking. People thought the Big 12 would win that with schools like Baylor and Kansas, but they did not. So that was a shocker there. I'm looking at bracketology right now. You can maybe move UCLA up to that one and replace. I think UCLA and Kansas move around there.
Probably
flop them there. So
I don't have a whole lot of faith in UCLA either, though.
We got Marquette right now. They have them at They have them as a 6 seed. They have them playing Murray State, so a rematch from the last time they were in the tournament with Ja Morant versus Marcus Howard, which was not a good game.
No,
that's in Indianapolis. I wish they would have had them in the Wisconsin region, which this doesn't mean everything. Hopefully,
I feel like they won't do that on purpose, though, right?
If they do that, I may be getting tickets for that. That is something I would.
Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah, that'd be some cool stuff.
So, speaking of Marquette, I did want to mention, I said we were going to talk about the rest of things, and we've got good news. The 18 seed Tennessee lost to Texas as a part of that challenge, and the 19 seed LSU lost to TCU as a part of the challenge. So there's 2 teams who lost. Obviously, some of the higher seeds will be moving down, but these teams will get bumped back, maybe out of the top 25. Marquette can move themselves up, pending a okay. If Marquette loses to Providence, do they stay in the top 25?
Yes.
Maybe like at 25?
Maybe. Yeah, they'll stay maybe at 25, 24. They might move down a spot or 2, but they will stay.
Yeah, probably.
After some of the wins they have to stay.
I would assume so, but you never know with the committee. So, do we have anything else to talk about besides the Bucks, or is that it?
Big Ten quickly. We haven't really mentioned
our Badgers.
Just go through the standings. With Brad Davison now the all-time 3-point leader.
I watched that. They played that Nebraska team.
Yep.
They made it up Thursday afternoon, I believe it was, 4:00. Good job. Good win.
Minnesota, they played yesterday now, but they're 7-2 in conference, 16-3 overall. They're number 11 in the country. And we'll just go through some of the top teams of the Big Ten. Illinois, 8-2 right now. Marquette beat that team, and they're 8-2 in conference. Michigan State, 7-2 in conference. Wisconsin also 7-2, but then Michigan State beat Wisconsin, so they're ahead there. Ohio State, 6-2. Purdue, 6-3. Indiana, 7-4. And Rutgers, 6-4 to round it out. Iowa and Michigan are there. Michigan 4-4, Iowa 4-5, and then the other teams. Nebraska's 0-10. So if we put in
Michigan just lost to Michigan State, right?
Yeah, Michigan is not the same team they were last year.
Yeah,
so
no,
I won't worry about them. It's just tough with what Coach Juwan Howard's working with this year. Not some of the guys he had last year.
That's college basketball for you. That's how it goes. That's why we love it. You got 4 years. Well, now they get a little more than 4 with the whole COVID thing that happened. But at the end of the day, you got to rebound, and that's what good coaches are able to do. So let's talk the Bucks to round things up before we get to some trivia. The Bucks with a bad loss to Cleveland. Good team, though, so not too much shame in that, losing last Wednesday, 115-99. Did you see the presser with Giannis after this game?
He
brought himself a nice box of chicken wings. He was talking to the press about it, and I saw it was on TikTok. I saw it, and he was like, the guy asked him, he's like, what happened, blah, blah, blah. He's like, we're bad. We didn't play good. And it was just like a real funny, honest answer. And that's the truth. They lose there, but then they rebound with that Bucks after dark game. The win over the Knicks, which they should have won, and they did, 123-108. Now, yesterday, Drew will have been there as they played the Nuggets, another winnable game. And before we talk about that, moving ahead, not a whole lot, just 2 games. They host the Wizards on Tuesday. That'll be on TNT. Then they're at Portland for a nice late game on February 5th, next Saturday, 9 p.m. tip.
Yeah, 2 games on the slate for this upcoming week then, other than yesterday's game. Hopefully they beat Nuggets. The Nuggets, Jokic's Nuggets.
Yes.
But yeah, looking the Wizards and the Trailblazers, it should be a sweep, on the week, hopefully, for the Bucks. These are games that they should win, beating the Trailblazers, because right now Lillard's still out, so certainly things are looking
then
good
it's even
there.
easier.
Yeah, he's been out now for weeks, so it should be nice. But they have a back-to-back there. They go Bucks, or the Bucks go Trailblazers and then Clippers. So I think they should be able to take care of both those games there. With the Clippers being out with no Leonard, no George. Really, that team is depleted from their stars right now. So, and they're hovering around 500. But I like this Bucks team this week, and we got to talk trade deadline, Jordan. That's coming up. So Got some mock trades and some, the needs. And I think the needs are kind of like that PJ Tucker kind of archetype, So one of the kind of guys we're looking then at is someone who can kind of play like PJ Tucker, and probably not PJ Tucker himself because he's with a contender in Miami. So won't be
he's not coming anywhere.
They'll have to find someone else. And then also a backup big, because as we know with Boogie Cousins being out, they know, because we did see Brook Lopez maybe he's back soon.
Yeah, so I was gonna say he could be back soon, you said, or something.
That might not be a thing you look at, but certainly you're looking for.
Well, it's not bad. If he comes back and 2 games in he gets hurt again?
They're certainly looking for a guy who can play, small ball and be like that kind of big. One guy comes to mind, Robert Covington is one guy. Larry Nance is another one. PJ Washington of the Hornets, just someone, around that size who can play some defense. And there's some buyout options too. Thaddeus Young, Robin Lopez is one.
Oh, I've heard of him
from the Magic. Mike Muscala. Those are some like lower end, kind of boomer bust options. Like we saw Nikola Mirotic come to the Bucks a few years ago. That didn't work out. Some of these guys, not really sure, about, but we could certainly see some of those guys. Maybe even like a Nasir Little. He's from also the Trailblazers. Another guy, Ooh. Nasir Little.
Never heard of him.
There are just some like sleeper options. Finney Smith from Mavericks. He's a starter but I can't see the Mavericks trading a guy like that. Basically these small forward, power forward guys who are lanky are who we're looking at, and those are guys I just mentioned. So you could maybe see him pull a trade for any of those guys I mentioned. I think. Do
you think they'll even make a trade, or are they just going to stick with what they got?
I think they'll make a trade.
It's probably one of those where they should make one, but they won't, or they'll make.
The Boogie Cousins thing, I think that was like a sign. We're gonna make a move here, so it better be a good move. You better impress me. We could see. I don't even know who else. Like Miles Plumlee. We could see them maybe make a move for like a center from the Hornets. There's another guy I just thought of. So a lot of options here.
Do we have, before we get to trivia, do we have any MLB updates? I know they met twice, and it seems like things are really not moving.
They made some progress upcoming last week. Hall of Fame, happened. Ortiz being the only one who made it.
Yeah,
that might be a different episode kind of talk for myself. I'll have to weigh in on my thoughts because that's a lot longer than what we have here. But yeah, they're making some moves. We'll have baseball. I'm confident in us having baseball.
Will I have spring training?
Will you have spring training? Probably, because pitchers and catchers, they do report
it's very soon.
Under 2 weeks now. So
yeah,
you should have it. It might be, I don't think they'll move that game around. I think they'll just basically have less time. You might have, if you have that game, it might be pushed back a few days. I don't know how long you're there.
I'm there for like 4 days.
So maybe.
It's in the middle of March though, so they still have plenty of time.
Yeah, but we don't know. Spring training schedules might get moved. I can't see them doing that. I hope they don't, because people
have bought
tickets already too.
Yeah.
So hopefully not.
I don't know.
Good luck.
We'll figure it out. Fingers crossed at the end of the day. But my third stadium in Phoenix. Let's do it. This is season 4.5 of trivia. We're just kind of filling 3 episodes until we get to episode 50, where I'm going to confirm it right now. Episode 50 will have 50 trivia questions in it. A whole season of trivia in one episode. We've never done anything like it before. It's going to take me a while to get those hammered out, but we will do it. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So right now, hockey trivia. Your first one is general hockey. So I have 10 questions for you, just kind of the rules and general things about hockey. Are you ready?
I guess.
This is the least important season of trivia. This won't even be accounted for, if anything else. Question 1. There's going to be some really easy ones, then there'll be some interesting ones. How many periods are there, and how long are they?
3 periods, and then what are they? Are they, is it 15 a pop?
So your final answer?
It's not 12. It's either 15 or 20. It's 3 of 20. Sorry.
Yes. 3 of
Holy
20.
Crap.
I knew you weren't going to stick with 15. I knew you'd get it eventually. 3 of 20. There we go. Next question. Excluding the goalie, how many players are on the ice per team? So one team has how many guys out at the time?
11.
11? This isn't soccer.
Oh, sorry.
5.
What? Oh, yeah.
For one team.
Oh, I did it. Oh, crap. I did. Never mind.
I see what you did. That's understandable. That's a mistake, but it's all right. Next question. True or false? NHL overtime is 3-on-3 instead of 5-on-5.
True.
Yes, it is. We got to see 3-on-3 overtime at the Pfizer Forum with the Badgers. Next question. Also true or false? We got 3 true or false in a row. If a team's record is 18-7-3, that means they had 3 games that ended in a tie.
False.
It is false. I am very glad you got that one right. The 3 at the end of it is an overtime or shootout loss. So just to explain hockey real quick, in the standings, you get points, right? So your points, you get 2 points for a win. You don't get any points for a loss, but you get 1 point for an overtime or shootout loss. So that number at the end does indeed account for things at the end of the day. True or false? Only the goalie is able to touch the puck with his hand.
False.
It is false. You can't hand pass it, but you can kind of just grab it out of the air and drop it right back down. So good job. We're 4 of 5 start. This is good stuff. Next question. Which of the following is not a penalty? Is there a minor penalty, a mild penalty, or major penalty? Which one is not a real penalty? Minor, mild, or major?
Minor.
Incorrect. It's actually mild.
Wow.
Mild is not a penalty. And it's funny because my next question is going to ask you, a minor penalty sends someone to the penalty box for how long?
Is it, let me think here. Is it 2 minutes?
It is 2 minutes. That's good stuff. Got that one right. 2-minute power play. Next question. Now the next 3 might get a little tougher. Okay, so I have to explain this one. So center ice, there's that nice thick red line, correct? So there's that line. And then there's 2 more lines opposite of that before you get into the offensive zone. What color is that line? And they refer to it by that name over and over and over.
So there's a red line in the middle, yeah.
Yep.
And then there's the it's not the black line, it's the is it yellow line?
Blue line. The blue line is what it is before you get into the offensive zone. And that is my next question here. What is the area called from blue line to blue line? So this is going to be tough. I'm assuming you don't know, but you can take a guess if you would like.
The mid ice.
Okay, that's a viable option. My 3 choices are middle ice, ground zero, or neutral ice.
Neutral ice.
It is neutral ice, yes.
I got options. I know
that. Just for this one. That is the only one I gave you options for. And now it is time for the final question. An offside penalty occurs when this is not the first thing across the blue line. What has to be the first thing across the blue line?
Oh, it's the defender has to be, right? Because it's the...
Well, no, that doesn't count. That's the other team. For offensively, you're moving down the ice,
offsides.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. So think...
The puck has to be.
Yes.
Okay.
There
I'm just
you
thinking
go.
Soccer, because like I told you.
I know, you relate it to soccer, and it works out for you. So this wasn't bad. 7 out of 10. That's not bad at all.
Yeah. I'll take it. I'm learning hockey.
It was tough, right? There was a lot in here. Kind of could have threw you off a bit. I asked some easy questions, and I asked some tough ones. So that's not bad at all. Our other 2 topics are the NHL divisions. So we'll talk about those a bit to try and get you figured out who's where. And then we'll talk about the Minnesota Wild. That'll end things off. It'll be its own final trivia. Those are just 5 questions each, but 7 out of 10 start. Not bad at all. Don't forget, guys, this coming Wednesday, 2 days from now, Packers season recap. And then no Thursday episode, just Friday, Journey to a Million.
Sounds like.
And then tomorrow, obviously, is my debut of the EWC Boys and Girls Basketball Breakdown. It'll be about 10 minutes long. We'll talk about all things coming up, standings, stat leaders, who knows. Talk about a wide variety of things each and every week. Shout yourself out if you got nothing else to say.
Yeah, you guys know the drill. Drew Skyberg, DRAWSKYBERG on all platforms.
There you go. Jordon Law _PXP for me. I believe I'm at 98 followers. Let's get me to 100. Get me to 100 followers on the Twitter machine, and I'll be tweeting out some ships, obviously. And then this Thursday, I am announcing Lutheran boys at Howard's Grove. So that'll be tough for the Lancers, but they got Menges back, and we'll see how they fare. And we'll talk about it all next week. We'll see you all then. Thank you all for listening to another edition of Jordan and Drew, the Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for